Hello everyone and welcome to Thricefold Gaming. In today's video we're going to take a look at one of the many different warbands in Age of Sigmar Warcry. We're going to take a look at all the fighters available to this warband, what they do on the tabletop, the abilities the warband has, and how to build a foursome on the tabletop as well. Along with this we'll look at some interesting ally options as well for the warband. In today's video, we're going to take a look at getting started with Age of Sigmar Warcry with the Hedonists as Slaanesh demons, using the Bladeborn warband, the Thricefold Discord, one of the many warbands from Warhammer Underworlds able to be used in Warcry. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. First of all, for our abilities, we have Triumphant Tittering, a reaction for the warband. Fighters from this Bladeborn warband are able to make said reaction if another member of the Thricefold Discord is slain. The fighter making the reaction is then able to make a free move or attack action. We then have the Coiled Lash. For a double Vastus, the Coiled will be able to use this ability. Until the end of that round, fighters within 1 inch of Vastus cannot make disengage reactions or move actions, and then at the end of the battle round, any fighter within 1 inch of them will be allocated damage equal to half the value of the ability. The Bladed Blessing is a triple ability able to be used by Lasavir. Now, this fighter can make a bonus melee attack action for this action, and they'll count their opponent's toughness as 5 less than what it actually is to a minimum of 1, so pretty much always going to be wounding on 3s. Lastly, we have a quad ability called Undignified Effort, and this is able to be used by Vexmore. Simply, it gives the next attack action from Vexmore 2 extra attacks. This might not sound like much, but when we check out the fighter in just a second, it sure will. Firstly, we have Vexmore here. This model, like all the fighters in the box, it actually has the leader rune mark. Vexmore also has the Brute rune mark, which will allow him to use the quad ability Undignified Effort that we talked about before. The leader rune mark as well, besides giving him the generic leader abilities for Warcry, he will also have access to a Slaanesh leader ability called Locus of Excruciation. This can boost the strength of nearby friendly fighters. For a Slaanesh fighter, Vexmore is extremely tough, with toughness 6 and 25 wounds. He does, however, only have a single attack in melee, but it is with an insane strength 10 and does 510 for its damage. Next is Vastus the Coiled. This fighter has the leader rune mark for access to the same generic abilities as Vexmore and the Slaanesh ones as well, but also the Mystic rune mark. Firstly, the Mystic rune mark will allow it to use the Coiled Lash double, but will also give it access to another double ability called Discordant Disruption, which can reduce the attacks characteristic of all nearby enemy fighters. Vastus, like all wizards in the game, has a short range but powerful shooting attack, and while low strength in melee, has some consistent damage values. Lastly, here we have Lasavir, the Bladed Blessing. Now again, this model has a leader rune mark and a second rune mark, the second one being the Frenzied rune mark. This second rune mark will allow Lasavir to use the Bladed Blessing triple ability, and in melee this model has a nice high 6 attacks at strength 3 and a nice consistent damage value of 2 or 3 on a critical hit. The first fighter we're going to look at adding is a Demonette, or more than just one. These are the basic demon infantry of a Slaanesh force. They are quite cheap and will provide you with bodies for capturing objectives and carrying treasure on the table. Quite fragile, however, they can do a bit of damage with the correct ability buffs applied to them with 4 attacks each and a critical damage of 4 as well. The warrior rune mark they have will mean that they can use the double ability Sadistic Killers to boost up the damage of their hits and critical hits as well. Next is the Fiend of Slaanesh. They are something that the warband generally lacks, big, hardy fighters. Having Vexmore is certainly a boon to the warband, but having another tanky-ish fighter is a solid idea. The Fiend, while only having a defense of 3, does have a solid 25 wounds, and is a suitably fast mover with movement 8. The Agile rune mark will give it access to a couple of abilities. Firstly, a double called Crushing Grip to stop the enemy being able to move or disengage, and secondly, a triple ability called Deadly Venom, which can use to massively boost its damage potential. Lastly, we have the Hellstrider with Hellscourge. There is another weapon option for this fighter, the Claw Spear, but for what we want this fighter to do, I think the 3-inch range on the weapon is much more useful. The big thing here is the fighter has a movement of 10 and a defense of 4 with 20 wounds. Fast and pretty good defensively for a Slaanesh Demons fighter. In melee, as mentioned, it has that 3-inch range, which means it can stay on the fringes of the fight, which going and claiming objectives and grabbing treasure will make it exceptionally good for. For our list, now leader ones, we have all 3 of them from the initial box set. Vexmore, Vashtis the Core, and Lasavir the Bladed Blessing are all in here. So we need to take some other fighters with them. We've gone for 4 Demonettes to give us some bodies, a Fiend for another big tanky fighter, and a Hellstrider with Hellscourge for a fast moving piece as well. If we're looking at splitting these up into battle groups, Vexmore is well supported by 2 Demonettes. We then have Vashtis the Coil, again supported by 2 Demonettes. Now, Battle Group 3 here is going to contain the 3 fighters that are going to be much more independent operatives. Lasavir, the Bladed Blessing, the Fiend, and the Hellstrider with Hellscourge as well, all able to go out on their own and do things that they want to do. We hope that this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry, and that I was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment them down below and we'll endeavour to get back to you. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe and join our Discord server as well, linked in the video's description, for all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry content.